Okay, good afternoon, folks. I hope you can see me okay and hear me okay. I've got a new PC, so I've had to re-change all the settings, reload everything. So can everybody see me okay and hear me okay, hopefully? So let's have a look. What have we got here? Okay, so it's just hard to know at the moment. I've had to kind of remember what my settings are. There is a second entry long there. Well, a hidden second entry long. I'm assuming people can't hear me, can they? Audio output. Can everybody hear me or not? Oh, you can hear me. Excellent. Okay. I can listen back later and adjust anything. So, yeah, all good. Brilliant. Okay. Yeah, I built a new computer over the weekend. It probably took me the best part of a couple of days to get it all up and working. But I did manage to get Rhythmic working. So that's good news. It's one thing I couldn't. For some reason, I don't know why, new computer. And everything's working okay. So I bet there's going to be a few people caught out on this trade there. I'm guessing it's probably something like that. So is this coming down? Are we finding some support? Yeah, it's building it was okay. It took a little bit of time. I had a little bit more wiring. You can probably see it, can't you? Can you see it? You can probably see a little bit of it. Let me just adjust it. You might be able to see it. Is it that way or the other way? Yeah, there we go. Can you see it there? So you just narrow in a bit, so you can. You can see that pump sort of in the middle there. I've done liquid pool pump, and I've got more fans in there, so it was a little bit more effort. It took a little bit of time. Let me just spin that round. It took a little bit of time to all the extra wiring, which I wasn't kind of. That's better. I was one of them, but managed to break it. What do you mean? Are you able to connect to Rhythmic now? Yeah, it's all working. Rhythmic's working. I no idea why. For some reason, Rhythmic just did not work before I tried everything. But yeah, there's obviously something there that it doesn't like. It's hard to say, really. But yeah, Rhythmic's working. Everything's working fine. Obviously, things should be a bit quicker. It's much quicker than my last one. So there you go. So, Karina, good morning to you. Disco, how you doing? Speedy, good morning. Jay, how you doing? Sean, Straight Lines Tattoo, brilliant. Okay, so hopefully I should have less problems with this computer. Everything should work certainly super quick. But yeah, it's all working. Install the software. I don't really think I had any problems with it. I did look at all the wiring and think I may have to pay someone here, but it was just kind of process of elimination, one at a time, and it all eventually worked, surprisingly enough. I was quite shocked the last one worked, but I do prefer to build stuff myself rather than buy it. But the trouble is, this type of DIY stuff, you never quite know how it's going to react. But yeah, everything's working, so I'm super chuffed. Yep, got Rhythmic up here. You can see, this is what I have let me just bring it over, this Rhythmic chart, so I can see any orders that are open. So yeah, that's working, so I'm really pleased about that. So, 2 legs back. Is this going up or is this coming down? It looks to me, there could be something larger there. Let me have a look. In fact, that actually doesn't look too bad. It's certainly a possibility, so it would have to be a higher low here. It's a bit risky going long here at the moment because we could have had a break of that. We may be ranging a little bit. There's not a huge amount of price action again overnight. So I'm not jumping into a trade here. This looks, it can get a bit trappy, this. It may work, but it may not. Let me just see if Dan's got a chart up yet. Okay, so he has. He's got that chart up, so it may work. I would kind of have to wait for a higher low, though, which I don't think we're going to get. So that's Dan's chart there. So he has got that as one chart with 2 legs back. If there was a bullish bar there, which there wasn't, he'd have taken that quite lightly. That's the type of trade he likes to see, but we didn't get one, unfortunately. Well, I certainly didn't. But that's kind of the way it works. Have I reloaded? That's a thought. I don't think I have. Let me just reload quickly. Yeah, the only thing I can't get is overnight highs. I used to have a couple of lines here with overnight highs. I can't for the life of me remember where I got them or what they were called. Trouble is, I've been using my last computer for nearly 4.5 years, so you build up loads of bits of add-ons and stuff, and half the time I can't remember where they were. I've managed to get Mac's toolbar up here, which I use. I've managed to get this bar counter. But there is still some things that I'm missing. So I got order line decorator, which is at the end of the price line, which tells me the amount. Got Max toolbar and a bar size counter, but I'm still missing that. I can't remember, it was by a company called Algotech or something. But I went into Algotech and I got one of those annoying McAfee pop-up things. So I just binned it in the end, but I can't remember what it was called. It had a little line here that followed up, showing you where the lows of the day were, and you can see it on here as well. I can survive without it, I think. So it does look like it's working. That one looked a bit too trappy. It was a bit too far for the EMA, that one, so I'd expect a little bit more of a break from that. And we did, and it worked. We're more or less up at the highs. Unfortunately, it was no setup, which is a shame. So, if this is a range day, 1, 2, 3 attempts to push up, it may come down, or it could push up for another leg. But I'm not getting into a short here, just in case we have 2 legs back. We push up, people take profits up here, it pulls back a bit, traps the shorts and pushes up for a second leg. It's hard to say. You may argue it's a triple test, but I'm not super convinced. We haven't quite made a high yet, the highs of this, so it could go up a bit more. Was it BP Map Part 1? I used to have both Part 1 and Part 2, but I think you have to be a member of his thing. I've been a member twice over the last 4 or 5 years, but I kind of now and again I go back and just kind of revisit the basics, but I'm not really concerned too much for it. I've got the most important parts that I needed. I'm just super pleased I can connect to Rhythmic. Taylor's in a trade. He's got a higher low here. I haven't. I have a feeling he doesn't have 2 charts. I think he has 3 as well. He's going a bit higher though. It looks to me like he's expecting another leg up. Trouble is, going long into possible highs here for me is just a little bit concerning. It's hard to say. I mean, we're finding a bit of support up here, so we push down, we may end up doing something like this. Now I know we've kind of looks like we're working up, But it does that sometimes, and all of a sudden comes, you know, people think, oh, it's not coming down, let's get in long here, and all of a sudden it comes rushing down. It's got that indicator that offsets the 2000 tick chart down. Oh, I got you. So, fingers crossed, in the next 3 to 4 weeks, I should have a reasonably decent payout. I'm not going to say how much because I don't want to jinx myself, but my accounts are building up nice. They are kind of between the lowest of my account. My lowest account is $1,800. My highest is about 2-3. So hopefully, well, I don't think it matters. Hopefully, well, it should be 20,000, but on the 5 TraderFi accounts, you lose 10%, so it'll be around about 19,000, something like that, which is possibly available to me. But I'm not aiming for it. I'm just going to play the game. That's where I've fallen short before. Sometimes I've taken risks to try and speed it up. Trying to rush this business doesn't help. So I think for once I've just played the game properly instead of taking some risks. So Taylor got in there with a higher low and he's out for 12 ticks. He takes the same as me, actually, 12 ticks, but he got in around about here, which, to be fair, is not a huge amount. That's the trouble when you've been up here a second time. You never quite know whether you're making range highs here. But this does look like it could be a second leg up. It depends. You know, there's always a possibility that this could turn out to be the top of a range and it may just fail. I don't think it is. But as we've pushed above here, I'd like to see some profit taking, so we may get a couple of legs or a retest of this because we've clearly had it as support. So it's hard to say, really. Trouble is, if you get a couple of legs down, you jump in for a long there, it may come back into what could be the top of a range. Perhaps it's me being a little bit paranoid, but it kind of keeps me safe thinking like that so far. Oh, crikey, I haven't set this. Let me just check this opens properly.
Order submitted.
Yeah, it does.
Order cancelled.
So yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's pushing up here. So I've got that. There's the overnight highs. All-time highs up here, I'm pretty sure, yeah. So let me just put that there like that. Oh, I keep forgetting I haven't got loads of these saved. Okay, so overnight highs up here. And yesterday's Friday's highs. So it's a shame, really. It just works up, doesn't it? It doesn't pull back. That's the only bar where it pulls back just for a tick. Everything else is consistently up. So I think once you've pushed above this and it's holding, chances are it's going to retest this area, and that makes sense, doesn't it? A leg up with a correction. It's just a damn shame we didn't get a setup there, really. But what can you do? So a leg and a leg. If we get a bearish bar up here, that wouldn't be a terrible trade back to the EMA. But I'm going to wait for a lower high. I know it's a terrible trade, that. It's a measured leg, really, apart from a tick. Now, it could push higher and clear the highs of the day. So I think the safer option is to wait for the lower high. Unfortunately, by the time we get a lower high, we might not have much space to the lows. But we've got four points there to the EMA. But I always risk this. I'm guessing this is where the market's going to turn down. Now, what I will say, it is two legs. And it's two smaller legs as well, so it will probably work. But it's not one of my strong trades. So for me, the better option is to wait for the lower high. That stops you getting stung there or dramatically reduces. Now it may just drop down, but if you're not confident in this setup, you're best off leaving it, really. It is two legs, and there looks like two smaller legs. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Two smaller legs. May not even break above that, to be honest with you. Looks like it's just coming down anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some traders in there. I wouldn't be shocked if Dan took that, to be honest with you. fact, you could even drop that down a bit to there, possibly. Yeah, someone else's as well. Yeah. Okay, so Dan has got the larger channel. The trouble is, at the moment, it is just 2 legs up. Having said that, if you do it at the larger channel, the one thing going for it, it is riding along the bottom there. So, even so, a lower high at the top, so you would expect it to come down. So, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because it is 2 legs. Okay, we've got a lower high here now, but the trouble is it's a little bit congested here, so it may get you into trouble. It may work and it may not, but I wouldn't consider that for, in any way, shape or form a high probability trade anyway. It could work back to the EMA. It probably will, but it is stacking side by side, so usually when it does that, it can get a bit trappy. There is a second entry short. The trouble is, when it's like this, who knows? We've got highs of the day not far up, so I'm guessing it's probably going to do that. But the trouble is, if we do that, do you really want to go long? Because it could be 2 legs up, finding some support, and it may come back down. So I wouldn't even want to go long. It's tricky, really, this one. So there is a second entry long here. One, it's too far from the EMA for starters, and now we've got a possible failure on that chart. I wouldn't want to do anything at the moment because it's stacked up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's a tough one. I mean, it's working. There is a second entry long there. I wouldn't take that anyway. It's too far from the EMA. If it's too far from the EMA, I'm just not interested. Let's put that there. Let's bring that down to different here, see? So that's probably better. We got a few more touches there. So we've hit that measured move right to the tick there. 1, 2, 3. Would you consider that a triple test? It's hard to say, really. It really is hard to say. I don't think you could safely take this because you may think triple test, but then it could trigger you and move up because there could be a larger channel. So I got mixed feelings about this, and I think the simple answer there is to just ignore a trade and just let it go. It's hard to know. If you look on the left one with the break it in the day deselected, there is a second entry long. You could argue it's off the midline. I wouldn't entertain that like that. It would have to come back at least to here or to the EMA for me. Because once we're at the top of this, if you look here, we had 2 legs back to the key entry point down here. We could get the same potentially. So you get into a trade there, you never quite know what it's going to do. So it's more hit and hope there, but it is a little bit congested. So it just takes that edge off it. And same here. So it's just not safe to do anything yet. We just haven't had enough price action really to give a definitive answer whether we should go long or short or whether we should just sit tight. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I'll just sit tight. You know, sometimes you get sucked into these decisions thinking, oh, it looks like it's doing this. But if you're saying to yourself, it looks like this or it looks like that, I think that's a good reason to stay out. You've got to be relatively confident in your direction. I think that's a massive key. That is, if you've got the direction right, you're halfway there, I think. You know, you could argue we're finding range tops here. So if you go short, you could be in trouble. If you go long, you still may be. But if you got the direction right and you're getting in somewhere here, if the direction's right, usually when it gets back to the EMA, it'll start to move in that direction again, assuming that's the correct way it's moving. But when it gets to these areas where we've respected before, you can see it there. So you may argue that's overnight lows. I'd say it's probably more down here, but you can see this area here where it's clearly bounced twice there. We found resistance there. So going long here, you know, 2 legs back, ILO, going long here into support like that, it's just hard to make a clear decision. So the simple answer is really just to stay out. I'm not sure what that is. Is that just a... Oh, okay, so... So at the moment, I'm still thinking possible range until we get out of it, risk bounce and push up. But we've had 2 legs up, 2 legs down, 2 legs up. It's quite readable, isn't it? 2 legs down, 1, 2 legs up, 1, 2 legs down, 2 legs up. Little Hammer, how you doing, pal? So yeah, it's quite readable at the moment. We had 2 legs down, it went in the opposite direction. We had 2 legs up, it went in the opposite direction. So if it's, you know, 2 legs down, 2 legs up, if it's going in the opposite direction after it's completed 2 legs, that would tell us we're probably going to go down. But the overall is generally bullish at the moment. So what we have got in the meantime, which I think we've just hit, is overnight highs. We've just broken it, so it could possibly come down, but we are 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10 points away from all-time highs, so it may move up. So I don't know really, but we've hit the highs of the day, or we've broken highs of the day, which is up here. Yes, mate, new PC. Yeah, I built it over Saturday, Sunday, I think. Well, I built it Saturday and just spent most of Sunday just kind of reinstalling software. The last one was getting a little bit slow. I was having a few problems here or there. One of them being I couldn't get Rhythmic for some reason, but this one works fine. So it's good fun building them if you fancy a go at it, anybody. And it's so much cheaper as well. This cost me about £1,900. I priced this up at a company called Overclockers in the UK, in Stoke-on-Trent, the UK, and it was £900 more than I paid for this. So that's a fair chunk of change. That cost me about 1,900, just over £1,900 for all the parts to build it. The little plant was free down there. You can see the little plant that's inside. It's a plastic plant anyway, so it's nice. Yeah, it's all good quality stuff. I got a Ryzen 9 9950X 3D chip. That was about just a fraction under £600. I got a RTX 5070, so I didn't want to go too mad there. As I don't really do so much gaming. I got a water-cooled system in it. I got 64 gig of 600 hertz RAM, so plenty of RAM. 2 terabyte hard disk. One of the, is it the EM2, MEM2? Oh, no, something like that. There's plenty of fans in there. I think I've got the water cooled thing is with the pump and that. So there's 3 fans cooling that, and there's another 4 fans in there, and it's all in white as well. I thought I'd have something a little bit brighter. Yeah. Are you a gamer? I think I must be, mate. I used to play a little bit of a Microsoft Flight Sim, but I haven't for a while, so it's about to become a hacker. I wouldn't know the first thing about hacking. I like the sound of it, but I wouldn't know what to do. It'd just be nice. All I'd be concerned about is hacking into my bank balance and trying to add a couple extra zeros. Yeah, I believe so, yeah. I've always been interested in aviation. That sounds a bit of fun, but... You too, yeah. I used to love going... I actually quite like some of the old stuff, the Second World War. I used to go to some of the air shows. I used to go to Duxford and Biggin Hill and see some of the old warbirds. There's nothing nice seeing the older stuff. I used to go with a mate and we used to camp close to the runway. Cook a fry up and have a few beers in the evening and see the old planes as they're coming in ready for the show. But yeah, I like modern stuff as well. Yeah, it's great. Biggin Hill was fantastic. I mean, I first went to Biggin Hill 25 years ago, I think, 20 years ago, something like that, maybe a bit more. And we camp at the end of the runway, and I remember sitting there, it was right in the middle of summer with a mate, we were having a nice fry up, and a Lancaster came flying right over, really low, right over us. It was amazing. It's a nice experience in the old stuff. You just don't see that stuff anymore. In fact, I think the last ever veteran from the Second World War recently died as well, I think. The last flyer from the Second World War or something. I like air crash investigations as well. Yeah, I like them programs. In fact, I watch quite a lot of what's the pilot, the guy with the ginger hair that's a pilot, and he talks about them as well. He has a YouTube channel. I forget his name now. He is brilliant to listen to. Yes, I forget his name. It's got something like pilot in the I can't think now. I think I'm subscribed to him. Let me have a look. Oh, Mentor Pilot is called. That guy. Where is it? That guy there. They're brilliant to watch. I mean, he has masses. I mean, look, 1 million views on that one, but he really does a good job. He really does. He'd be a brilliant presenter for a program like that. He would. He's natural.
Ditching a fee when you sign up for the 2-year deal
if
using
you like that sort
this
of,
QR code and
that,
at the destination
if you like
with
that
not
sort of
less
thing,
than
he just discusses everything.
£4,300 remaining. That is now at this point, even if they had distributed the first officer to find the approach chart, make a third approach attempt.
Yeah,
only this
time
his plan was to circle
really
with the flaps fully extended.
Breaks everything down. So what do we do here? We've broken above what could be a possible range, and we've got a channel down. So the trouble is that could be 2 legs. It's hard to say, so I wouldn't want to assume this thing's going to continue up. I tell you this. There's another. Yeah, there is a few of them, isn't there? I like that guy. I think he's brilliant. He just breaks it. He'd make a brilliant presenter for one of these types of programs. But I know Yanu comes here sometimes, Akitri, he's a pilot. He flies a commercial airliners. He pops in from time to time. So it's hard to say there. We're finding some support. Yeah, he's a nice guy. You've got to have nerves of steel to do a job like that. I mean, you've got to be really confident in yourself to take on a job like that. I had a few flying lessons I did years ago. Well, say years ago, 10, 12 years ago. My wife bought me some for a birthday. Captain Steve, I've not come across him, I don't think. Captain Steve. Secret weapon against the... Yeah. In fact, we live near the RAF station where Prince William did his flight training, RAF Shawbury. So there's an old flight... it's an RAF place there where he did his I don't know what he was flying. He did his flight stuff. So often you get there are a few air shows not far from here. There's RAF Cosford, which is about 35 miles. So you often get the Red Arrows around here doing a little bit of practicing, flying out of RAF Shawbury. And you often get, you'll often see Spitfires or Hurricanes or Lancasters, which are going to local shows, which tend to use that as well. So we're in quite a nice place for that. It's hard to know what to do here. In fact, I'm just going to sit out of this because we could have two separate legs up, really. And it may be a breakout that's failing. It may not be. It may just be coming down to here and it might push up some more. But if this is a channel, we're not quite getting to the top of it. So that tells me maybe it isn't. And if it does come away from the top, it may be losing a bit of momentum. You can see it's drifting from that top. It's not drifted enough for me, but it could give us a break. That break may be a second leg down, and it may not even be a channel. There may be two separate channels. So I think going long here for me, it's a bit uncertain because you may think, oh, let's jump in long here. We're at the bottom here. It's going up. I think it's a bit risky personally. Because as I say, we've found three lots of resistance there. We've had two legs up, pulled quite strongly back under this line. So it's a bit too early for me to be confident about going long here or short, to be honest with you. It could go either. This bar here, we got a channel down there. We haven't had a break in a new low from this mini channel. So we could go up, trap a bunch of longs here and come down for a second leg. Or maybe this is a working channel that's going to push up. But I've taken trades like this before and they've triggered me and stopped me out. So, and not only that, it is a little bit choppy along there. So you never know. But sometimes the market will suck you into these and come down and flush you out. There could be 1, 2, 3 attempts to push higher. It could be a shoulder, head, shoulder. That's a bearish pattern, so it could come down. There's a bunch of reasons to stay out of a long here just at the moment. It doesn't mean it won't work. There is a higher low there, but I've seen this picture in my head so many times, and more often than not, it doesn't end well. So I'm just sitting tight here. Sometimes you do nothing, it just rock it up, but I'm just not sure about this. You can see twice we've respected this area. We have there, as I say, two legs up. We've pushed below it. And now we're round about this area straight away, struggling to go high. Someone's saying I'm thinking about looking for a lower high. So there's other people thinking about a short here. You can't treat that as a lower high. It's not. It's a channel with a break. It's come down too far, really. Kind of lower highs that you could take around here from this area, but you just never know. Sometimes it just goes. See what I mean? So it's done what I thought it may do. So you've got to be so careful getting into longs there. It's come down. We're only a tick off that, but I'll be amazed. But having said that, it could come down here and test this line. But for me, that's a channel with a break. I'd expect a new low. It may respect this edge. It's just too unclear at the moment. So that's weird. See, it's come down to that line, almost stopped that out, and now it's starting to move. But to me, 1, 2, 3, 4, we got bars stacking up now. So it's just, it's hard to know. There's no way in there. It's not high or low because it doesn't break below there. See, if you look, there was the overnight highs there. Look how it's touched there, and it's done the same. So you may argue there we got 1, 2 touches there, plus a third. So far, it is holding here. Trouble is, if this is a possible top, it could turn here. I'm not saying it's going to go up. I'm not saying it's going to go down. It's just when we get to these areas of support and resistance, you never quite know what they're going to do. Trouble is, have we got this leg up and leg up? We've got the same here. There's always a possibility we could kind of do this and have the same thing. We've made that leg up, a little bit of a correction. We could also have a correction and then push up higher. I mean, if this correction comes down a bit steeper, then there's a possibility we could do something like this. And push up to all-time highs, you know, maybe even a steeper correction than that, and something like that possibly. It's always a possibility. That's the trouble, is it's not super clear. And then we could have a leg up there and a leg, so a leg and a leg on a bigger scale. So it's hard to. We just have to sort of play what we can see, really. I mean, it may just be struggling because there is support. It doesn't mean it's not going to continue up. The only thing I haven't been able to get at the moment is Guardian Angel Trader. I managed to get Replicanto. They contacted me quick. I'm still waiting for contact, or a second contact for Guardian Angel Trader. I've sent them my Machine Idol Ninja Trader ID. Hopefully they'll get back to me. Okay, let's see if we get a break here, or maybe something like that. We do. If this is a channel, we do seem to be coming away from the top a little. Coming away from the top, so might have something to do with just that little bit of support. But if you were trading this 2 legs, you'd definitely be taking profits here, wouldn't you? You'd think so, which is why we may have got that pullback. See, I think going long there is super risky. Could be a triple test here. I still wouldn't take the triple test because it's counter trend trading currently. I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. I'll be a second. Okay, sorry about that. I'll treat myself to a scotch. Oh, excuse me a sec, I've just got a parcel being delivered. Okay, sorry about that. So we got above it in the end. You never quite know. There's just no setup there, even if you wanted to go along, unfortunately. There is a high low there, but you can't take that into support. It's too far for that EMA. Oh, I'll tell you what I haven't got. My tick counter. Ah, thought something was missing. How do I get my tick counter? Tick counter. No good down there. Oh shoot, that's part of max, isn't it? Thought some was missing. How do I get my tick counter? That's something to do with max, isn't it? I'm sure. Bottom right. Where's middle right? Middle right. How do I make it larger? It's bound to be a way. Yeah, I haven't got either part 1 or part 2. I might have it on my other computer, actually. I'll have to see if I can pick it up later. I've got it for now. I'm surprised you can't make that larger. That's unusual. Hold on a minute. Text position. Oh no. That's unusual. It's tiny. Displacement. Let's go 20. Will that take it to the right or left? No. Okay, so it does look like we're aiming for this overnight, sorry, all-time highs. Yeah, it's hard to take a trade here, even if you got one, because of this support. You never know that it's going to do that. And when we've been up here a bunch of times, it's hard to say. It's easy to mark trades up here when you know what price did. I'll have it somewhere on a folder there. I'll just open it, drag it over. I didn't delete anything off my old PC. Just a bunch of old pictures and stuff. So just in case I needed it. But this does look like we're tackling this. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll slow down. We may get a pullback. So I'm not going to be trading a week today. I've got an operation. I'm going to have my gallbladder removed. So hopefully Tuesday I should be fine. Well, fine enough to trade anyway. It's not sitting on your bum. It's pretty straightforward in it trading. So as long as I can sit upwards and lean forward a bit, I should be fine. I'll just have to drink plenty of painkiller. So, you know, one thing that I've recently discovered, a lot of the times I've had payments before, I've taken risks and I've tried to speed the process up. So I think this is the first time that I've traded every trade, every account as I should. And one change that I've noticed, it's taken longer. Not a lot longer, but longer nonetheless. I would suggest to get up to $3,000 would probably take me about it has probably taken me, or will do, probably take me about 2 months. And that's the problem, really. The tendency is when you're trading it, and I've done it myself, how many times have we heard the words, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme? And that's the problem. We have our heads day by day filled with stories about, you know, traders earning 50 grand from Apex or 30 grand from Traderify, and you're blinded by the dollar signs. And the tendency is just to rush and take some risks. You know, if it's taking a bit long, let's see if we can boost the account. Maybe I've done it myself. You got 10 accounts. I've said to myself, okay, let's grab 2 and see if we can't double up and boost it. And I spent so much time having 8 or 9 accounts and getting a couple of new ones and taking a risk and losing them and adding a couple of more. And all this risk taking and trying to speed things up, all it does is slows the process. When you get your accounts to 3,000 or 4,000, then realistically, whatever you make over a month, you can withdraw. Even if you make $500 or $600 over a month, which is not a small amount per account, you times that by 10 or 20 accounts, you're earning some serious money. And it is true. I don't know how many times that you guys didn't see me, that I took risks. And the reason you don't say nothing, because it's embarrassing. You know what I mean? I know we all do it, but you don't want to kind of admit to it. I mean, you guys have seen me take plenty of losing trades, and you've seen me have, I think, about 3 meltdowns. But even when you see people like Nutty, his meltdowns generally happen after, when he's off screen, off camera. But do you know, I remember Wilson saying something to me maybe 3 or 4 months ago. He'd earned a big payout, and he got some more accounts and taken a risk and blown them. And he said to me, he messaged me about something. We were sort of chatting on the message, and he said, I'm not worried because I know what to do now. So he was basically saying, when you take your time and just wait for good setups and nothing more, it works, but it does take a bit longer. The trouble is with prop firms, the slight downside to prop, well, it's not really a downside as such, but the slight difference between trading your own funds, which as an inexperienced trader is super dangerous, is if I was to say have $50,000 now and I put that into an account and I traded maybe 2%, which is somewhere about right, I could start earning wages from day one. Whereas with prop firms, as soon as you pass them, you get kind of blinded by this idea of a $50,000 account. It's not. You've got zero. You've got $2,500 to play with, but you start on zero. So you've got to actually build a pot. And when you're starting on zero, you've really got nothing to lose. The tendency is to try and speed it up. I can't tell you how many times I've done it. You try and speed it up because you're thinking, well, I've only just paid $140 for the account, $30 for the account. Let's take a bit of a risk, see if I can get to $600 or $800 and give myself a boost. And I think probably a lot of the reason why I did that is because I didn't feel confident enough that I had enough skills to be able to grow it myself. Now I do. I've had to learn to just take my time. And yes, it takes a bit longer, but when you get there, that's when you can start. And if you remember those accounts I built my accounts up to 3,000 or 4,000. I had payments January, February, March, April, May and June, 6 months in a row. And the reason those payments stopped is because once I moved my stop. I panicked, something happened, I wasn't in the right frame of mind, I'd lost a couple of trades and I ended up losing those accounts and then I had to start again. And then I think the first few times I had accounts when I started again, I blew them because I was frustrated. And then you get more accounts and after a while, when you're sick of doing the same thing and you start to do things the right way, it's surprising that they do grow and not as slow as you might think. But I've kind of realised, I've finally got it through my thick skull, that if I just play the game and follow the rules of the game, you make money. And when you kind of get that kind of realisation, it's a nice feeling then, and you can get to the stage where you enjoy your trading. You know, I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with trading. When you're winning, you love it. When you're losing, you hate it. But they play... Absolutely. You know, I've read so many times that you need to change your mindset. And I've heard those words so many times, but I've never heard anybody say how. And there is no how. The simple fact of the matter is, you don't necessarily need to do anything specifically. You just need to expose yourself to what it feels like to trade again and again and again, day after day, until your mind starts to go, I just can't take this anymore, and you start to do things the right way. You know, kids all run, won't they? They how many times when you've been at the swimming baths, they've got these signs, don't run, and young kids, they've got no fear, they'll run, they'll fall over and hurt themselves. And once you've done it enough times, you start to just follow the rules, because they have the don't run sign for a reason, because you're running around on a wet floor. And it's strange with trading. When you get older, you tend to listen to people and you take advice because you think they've been doing it longer than me, they know better. But with trading, it's almost like you're being back to being a child again, and you just don't listen. Because absolutely, for me, it's not so much a FOMO, it's more just impatience. I want my money quicker. I don't want to have to wait. And that's the trouble with it. We read all these stories, don't we? I know Nutty makes videos about the payouts people have had this month or this year, and they're in the tens of thousands. Huge amounts, some of them. And it's very easy to just kind of rush things. And all rushing does is it slows the process. It doesn't feel like it does, but when you get that realization, it really does just slow the process. And when you kind of realize that, and you do things the right way, your accounts grow. Slowly, but they grow. It's true, isn't it? It takes us a long time to realise that. I've been stupid, and I've been stubborn and pig-headed, and I've thought I know better than, you know, all the people who are telling me, and you get humbled by it, you know. You think you're smart, you think you know what you're doing, and, you know, life's got a tendency of jumping up in front of you and smacking you in the face. But you refuse to listen to it. And I think one of the best examples I can give you, which I've said before, when I was in my early 20s, I did a bunch of skydiving. And I remember the very first time I was sat in a plane door, and all I was thinking is, how can I get out of this? And I remember sitting there and thinking, if I die, I die. And I kind of accepted the fact that that if I could die, it's just the way it is. So I remember throwing myself out this plane, and to be honest with you, people go, what was it great? Was it a great experience? I don't remember much about it. It was all a big blur. People have, you know, I remember it, and I remember what it feels like. You don't. You just throw yourself out, and it's a big blur. But if you continue to jump out that plane week after week after week, it goes from being this big scary thing that you don't... It stops being scary as much, and it slowly gets less and less. And the reason you feel all those emotions is because you're doing something completely different, and you've never really experienced what it's like to be really nervous and scared of something, because it's in most of our everyday life we avoid situations like that. But when you just expose yourself to it again and again, it's impossible to have that same sense of fear or panic. It might take a long time, but it's impossible just to keep having it the same. And that's the best way I can describe for trading. You have to just go through it. You know, it's a process of learning and adapting. And then you get to a point, and that's why there's such a massive failure rate, because people give up. I know somebody messaged yesterday, I remember that, it was that young lad that started Moo Trades. He ended up saying he was giving up and selling insurance. It's not for everybody. You know, something that can cost you a lot of money, change your mood, make you feel depressed and down. Not everybody wants that in their life, and there's nothing wrong with it. You know, there's nothing wrong with saying, "Oh, I don't want this," and that's fine. But trading it's, you know, I'm 56 years old. I've done a lot of different jobs in my life. I've experienced lots of things in my life, and this is by far really challenged me as a person. It's really taken me to a place I didn't think I would ever go. And that's why it's such a big failure rate, because people just can't hack it. They can't handle it. But if you just keep on, sooner or later, things start to work. And when they do, it's such a nice, calm feeling. You know, I feel like now I don't need to fight the markets. I don't need to argue with them. All I need to do is respect them. And if I see a trade, I take it. If I don't see a trade, I leave it. But when you're new to it, those emotions get you jumping in at every minute. They get you taking silly risks. How many times have I just jumped into trades and before I know it, my accounts are blown? It happens so quick. Because of those emotions, you end up having that fight or flight, and it's all a big blur, and it's almost like someone else has jumped into the driving seat and you're not in control. But if you just persist, that control starts to get more and more. You start to get more and more of it, and then you're able to accept when things go wrong. You need to have money, it's true. You can't throw your salary on this. Money's a big thing, because I can say without a doubt you can get severely in debt in this business, especially when you're learning. You know, I've put a lot of money into this. I've been lucky as a trader, because I have had some affiliates which have helped me. And over the last nearly, say, I'm coming up 3 years of streaming, I've been lucky enough to acquire about $40,000 in affiliates payment from you guys using my code. Without that, I don't know whether I'd have lasted, or I may have certainly been in a lot more debt. It's very easy to get into financial difficulty in this business. It really is, especially if you do it the way I've done it, because I was stupid. I had the attitude that if I throw enough money at it, it'll work. It doesn't. It never works. Just my friend and I's opinion. Mac made those feelings 10 times worse. A lot low probability trades being marked when one of the things I will say about Mac, that now don't get me wrong, I think the guy's an absolute gentleman, but when you teach trading, you have to teach and you have to discuss losing. That's one thing Mac doesn't do. You never hear him talk about sometimes things don't go wrong, you need to accept it. He never talks about losses. He never marks trades that you may have taken that didn't work. You have to teach people, you know, every other book I've read, one of the most important things they talk about is accepting losses. He does mean well. He does. I'd never say a bad word about the guy himself, you know. But, you know, some people are good at teaching, some people are good at trading. You know, we all have good strong points. But I think if he'd have talked a lot more, like you say, identifying trades that didn't work. You can't keep marking every single trade you ever mark on a chart that works. It's impossible, because it doesn't work that way. Now, Mac trading for 1 point might be good enough to get a 98% win rate. So losing to him may be, you know, not even really in his remit. But for the likes of us who've kind of been learning from experience, you have to understand that they are going to happen, but it doesn't talk about them. And it's like putting that much pressure on the kids when you got children. All you want your kids to do in life is to try. Sometimes, with all the will in the world, things don't work. But teaching your kids failure is an option. If you fail at something, it's because of you, something's not happened. You can't do that. Monday and Friday off, I think, yeah. We need to understand why not for so many. Yeah. For one of the things, it's okay taking a really good trade that's obvious, but it's knowing when to stay out. And that's something you can't really teach. Something you've just got to learn by making mistakes. But, I think he would help a lot more people if he would bring the subject up of losses, especially as an inexperienced trader, and also showing trades that experienced traders may have got caught out on and explaining why. You've got to see, when I talk about what I'm seeing, it's not necessary to help other people. I'm not telling people what to do. I'm saying what I'm seeing and explaining what I think is happening. And that's what we need from Mac, to talk about why he takes a trade, or to talk about, okay, there's 2 legs down here, but you wouldn't take this because of X or because of Y. I don't know how many people would have asked him to discuss trades that may have lost or talk about this, but I think Mac's he's getting on a bit, he's setting his ways, he's been doing what he does for so long, he doesn't, sometimes you're good at certain things, but getting things over might not be your strong point. Think about the market runs against you. If you don't know that, you're not a trader. Yeah. I mean, what I will say is about price action, it's super accurate. And it's one of those few styles of trading that I'm aware of that if you follow the rules and you're good at it, you can be super accurate about it and get a massive... Now, I know Dan has said he hasn't lost a trade for nearly 12 months, trading 6 ticks. A couple of years ago, I'd have said he's lying. Now, I get why. If you get very good at reading price action, you can perform miracles. But it takes talent, skill, and lots of years to get to that level. And when Mac teaches us or teaches people, you have to explain to them, yes, you can get very good at it, but you are going to lose. You are going to take trades. You are going to this, that, and the other. Let's have a look. Skip high low, I have a trade, 4th entry. Yeah. I don't know how many times now when I look at Mac's chart, I'm thinking there's no way you'd have taken that in real time because you didn't know what price is going to do. It's simple to mark a trade at the end of the day, because you can't. If I'm looking at this now, are we finding support here and chop? Are we going up, or are we finding support? Is this a range? It could be. So going long up here might not be a great idea. But when you know price went up for a second leg, it's very easy to think about getting into trades here, 2 legs down. If this is a range, we could have had a breakout and this could be failing. So you have to, the only real true way to identify a chart is to do it in real time. That's the only real way to trade in real time. You can't really mark a chart up at the end of the day when you know what happened, because if you do, you end up with a dozen trades. But in real time, we don't have that luxury of knowing this pushed up again or it respected this. And with time you learn and sit. Absolutely. It's very hard to feel like all the losses you have are teaching you valuable lessons, because unfortunately me and most people go in with money way too early. You have that eagerness to jump in and that, that buzz to try and make money. And unfortunately, the lessons can be they're a lot more painful than they should be. I do think, though, it is important to learn some skills, but then get in and have a small amount of risk, because, I remember going back probably 2.5 years, and Wilson, V. Wilson, most of you know him. He was putting lots of videos out there on the Facebook group that he was making $15,000-$18,000 a day, and he was winning most of his trades. And I remember thinking, I want to be like that guy. And someone said, I don't think he's trading real money. And another guy came forward. He went, yeah, he is. He made $1 million last year. And then a few months later, he started picking up some evaluations. And someone said, I thought you was making money. He said, I never said I was making money. I just put my videos on there. So when he was on a sim, he was doing really well. As soon as he started having some financial implications of it, that changes things. So it's important. That's another. You could be the best trader in the world on a simulated account, but when you go into the money, you've got that second part of trading, which takes a long time, the emotional side, and you have to learn how to deal with it, and you have to experience it, and you have to go through it. It's okay spending 2-3 years on a sim, but as soon as you have those emotions, that upsets the balance. All videos out, my friends. I got quiet, taking a lot of time. Yeah, it's a tough business, and it's one of those business. If you can manage to stick around and hack it and put up with it, you'll do well at some point. Now, some people may pick it up quick. Some people may take a while. I know they did a poll on the Facebook group maybe 6 months ago. How long did it take you to be consistently profitable? And I think the biggest answer was between 4 and 6 years, which I tend to agree with. I've been trading for coming up 5 years, which is kind of in the middle of that 4 to 6 year. And I'm starting to be profitable. Granted, the last couple of months I haven't done so well because I've been building up those accounts I've blown. But, every year I've made a little bit more and a little bit more. This year I'm up 30-something thousand so far. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I should have another 19 or 20,000 in the next month or so. Last year I did 26,000. Year before I did 8. A year before that I ended up losing. Now, when I say 8, that doesn't include what I put into evaluations. I obviously lost more than that, but I actually kind of got to payments, which means I'm spending less and I'm earning more. But it's a long time to do a job before you start making money, 4 or 5 years. And I think that's why so many people give up. Because, you've really got to kind of like punishment doing this job. Down his Discord. Is it? His Discord scrolls across the bottom of Lance's page. Does it? I can't see. Looks okay on my... What's it? If I move it up a bit. I'll have to have a look back later. See, this is what I see. This is might look a bit funky here, but this is the top of my chart. If I look at my main screen, there's my main screen, and that's kind of where it is. I'll have to have a look back later, and this is the first time I've had to reset all this up, see, because of the new computer. I'll have to have a look later and adjust things. Oh, I see. Okay, I got you. I got you. Yes, without expenses. I think realistically, you can add, I think, around about 9,000 on top of that for expenses. Now, fortunately, this year I'm up about 11,000 with affiliates, so yeah, absolutely. But I've spent a lot of time throwing money into new accounts. But lately, over the last month, over September, I think I spent about about $175. No, about $275, under $300 so far this month. Last month, I think it was more $1,400. I did have 1 month where I spent over 2,000. But yeah, I got you. So we're up into we're up into all-time highs. That to me looks like a bit of an overshoot. So let me have a look at this. There's a smaller, well, it's hard to say. There's a smaller channel up there. Let me just add a bit of colour to that. There's a smaller channel up there which looks quite nice, which actually fits. If I drag this down a bit. But we're into all-time highs really, so there's not really much you can do here. See, some of these days when we have these big moves up, unless you happen to find something here or here, you're kind of screwed. So yeah, in the next 4 weeks, let's say 4 to 6 weeks, I don't want to rush things, and I should have around about 19,000 coming. As long as I'm making progress on the previous year, I'm okay with that. I know it's not a get rich quick scheme. Some people take longer than others. So I've accepted. All I'm concerned with doing is sitting here patiently until I can find a trade, then I take a trade. That's it. I'm giving up coming back later or taking risks or having a gamble on new accounts because it doesn't work. We don't need to know. That's the problem with this. You need to know if you have profits or not. Now, what I'm accepting is the fact that I'm not thinking about trying to hit targets too quick. I'm just trying to follow the process. That's what I've done in the past, and it hasn't worked. I've heard about Karina anyway. Karina makes millions. She's got her own private island, I've heard. So I don't know why she bothers with us small people. I've heard she's very rich. Apparently she baths in ass's milk. Apparently. Yeah, so I think Karina speaks down to us. She's way rich, apparently. This, let's have a look. So the bigger channel might be a small overshoot. I'm not super convinced, actually, but... so that... looks like a nice little channel. So if we get a break here and 2 legs down, it's a tough one, isn't it? Trouble is, if I look at this chart here and I've gone from there to there, you could argue there's an overshoot actually. Maybe an overshoot, so we could just get a bigger correction. See, it doesn't look like an overshoot on that chart so much. It could almost fit at the top, but the trouble is when we break all-time highs, you don't know whether people are going to take profits and this thing's going to come down. I suppose it depends on the sentiment of the markets. Are people going to think 2 legs? Wow, let's ride this up some more. It's hard to say. I have different point of view. Remember, I'm a woman. You are a woman. We know that. Yeah. Do you know, I said this a couple of weeks ago. If you think about all the people that run the world, basically they're all men, and the world's running to shit, isn't it? So when you put men in charge, everything goes to rat shit. You put women in charge. Why don't men realise that and just put women in charge? Have women presidents and women prime ministers. There'll be a lot less deaths around. Put it that way. I'm quite partial to a woman in charge. I think you should give them all suspenders and whips and stuff like that. I wouldn't mind. I quite like the idea of being bossed around by a woman. So there may be an overshoot. Let me just take a quick photo of that. Where is it? So you trade quite different from us, Karina, don't you? You trade Renko charts, don't you? Charts or bars or Renko? Renko, yeah. So, possible overshoot. Let's see if we get a correction. Still don't feel how long. Candles are pink. You can change them whatever you like, can't you? Ooh, I wonder if women change their candles. I wonder if women go more... I don't know. It's hard to know, isn't it? Oh, yeah, we may have a second leg down here. In fact, I actually read somewhere about changing red candles because red is kind of an aggressive panicky type colour. I don't know where I go for that or not. Now, this is really interesting, this is. Red and green, you've got red and green, have you? It's kind of what you start with, isn't it, really? You kind of stick with. So, really nice looking channel up there. Broken all-time highs, as you can see. 2 possible legs down. I wouldn't jump in here anyway. I think, to be honest with you, because of the overshoot, overshoots tell me always to avoid that first trade. So I prefer the higher low, but I would like this to come down to there anyway. Having said that, if you look at just this small channel here, that would make it not so bad. Tough one, tough one. I wouldn't take that anyway, to be honest with you. It's floating in the middle of nowhere, that bar. Yeah, it could not be an overshoot. It's hard to say, really. It's not a huge amount of an overshoot, put it that way. Using grey candles. I'm fairly old. You're not old, mate. You're not old. 60 is old. In fact, you're about that age, aren't you? I think you're a little bit older than me, aren't you? Age is it's nothing. Age. Yeah, I know. What's it uses black and white, doesn't he? Kind of hollow. Is that the word? What's his name? Blah, blah, blah. The old guy. What's his name? No, he is old. Isn't he the godfather of price action? Albrook something. You know. Nice entry level price has to go 7 points down from where? The top or from here? Where do you think? So what we could have. Trouble is, my understanding, if we get an overshoot, sometimes that can give us a bigger correction. It doesn't mean it won't go up. But this, to me, looks like a kind of a correction. Now, it's not necessarily a second entry long, because there's a second entry long, but it's more for me about 2 legs down. There's 1 leg. There may be this second leg may be in 2 parts. Sometimes it is that way. So we could come down here. Trouble is, when we broke an all-time high, you don't know whether people are going to take profits. Now, they will to a degree, which is probably what caused this to have a pullback. Now, are people that have been buying this thing thinking about continuing on up? It's hard to know. I don't know what the general sentiment of the market is. I think it's pretty okay at the moment, otherwise we wouldn't be making new highs. Trump seems to be coming off okay at the moment. I think it went down well. What he did for Kirk. Yeah. I think all the tariff stuff, things have settled, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot more money coming in from the tariffs. So, a lot of people said, with the tariffs, what's he doing to the economy, blah, blah, blah. Now things seem to have gone the other way, so perhaps he's done a good job. He's just recently been over to the UK. That seemed to go down okay. So, maybe things are doing okay in the economy. So there's no reason why, people sort of wouldn't have that kind of, that kind of rosy feeling. Things are okay. Candles are great. From here, yeah. I mean, we're at this key entry point. Now, there may have been an overshoot. It's negligible. I'm just looking at another chart up here, and he hasn't got it, or he may do. But the trouble is, Mac will sometimes say there's an overshoot there, and other times he'll say there's an overshoot, but I'm not convinced. So it's a bit of a grey area, really. It's either an overshoot or it isn't. I wouldn't take anything here at the moment. It's a little bit congested, but if we have a leg and we drop down here and then finish nice and bullish, my honest opinion, I'd still have to wait for the higher low just in case. But what I will say is, if this is 2 legs up and a reversal, that looks a bit steep for me. And already we're coming away from the bottom of the channel, so I don't think that looks like a down channel to me. If it comes up here, then there's a possibility it may be different, but there is, space at the top. So we do seem to be holding this line. I haven't touched this chart, and look at those 2 stems are perfectly sitting there, so that's encouraging. I would much prefer this to have this drop. Mind you, I always look back and see what liquidity the market may want to grab. That's a possibility. I can't see it coming down this far. That's if it has a break, of course. So it's hard to say. I wouldn't just take this. I would have to go with a higher low. I'm not saying it won't work, but there's no bar for us anyway. 7 points is a lot. Yeah. So it is moving up. Well, often it will. I'd much prefer a higher low. There's a channel down there with a break and a new low. In fact, there's 2 pushes to a new low, which is interesting. You can't go in there really because Thomas Wade calls that a something. I can't remember what it is now, but he may take that. Let's have a look. Oh, I think he's already in a trade. Oh, Christ, what a bike. He's on a massive runner. There's his stop there. What's that? Is that 1730? He's still in there. It's pushing up. So where did he take that one there? I'm surprised he took that one. I was talking about that bar to the right. What does he call those? A something entry, where he doesn't wait for it to break below, but he's in 12 points up to there, which is 32 and a quarter. What's he in now? 33, 34 and a quarter. So he's in 14-point runner there. So good on him. Okay, yeah, double bar entry calls that. Interesting. He doesn't mind taking losses, Thomas Wade, which is a strong point. Double bar entry. Yeah, there's one there, isn't there? Would you consider that as a double bar entry? I'm just wondering, would he get into another trade there if he saw one? Trouble is, from a Pat's point of view, I can't take that. Now, I will say it's nice that we had 2 touches there and it moved up, and there and it moved up, so it may move up. But for me, that's not a reason to get into a trade. Good old times with Al Brooks. I should wait for a retracement to the EMA 20 at the 5-minute. But this will not happen today. Yeah, I suppose because it's quite bullish, isn't it? Sometimes it just doesn't work that way. That's why you thought. Yeah, absolutely. High lows. That's the thing, really, isn't it? It's struggling a bit anyway, isn't it? If you look, it's just not moving up strongly off there, really. If you look at there, it's a little bit sideways. So we've got a push down, 2 pushes up. I still think I would like to move down here and break these lows. In other words, have a leg down and a second leg down. Trouble is, we've been in this channel now for, what's that, 12:40. 42, 43, 44, that's 3.5 hours. So as we broke an all-time highs, I wouldn't be surprised if we had some kind of a break. Excuse me, just for a second. Okay, so I was right to be a little bit cautious there because this thing's backtracking. I can't see the point in this coming back if people aren't taking profits. You wouldn't sell there necessarily. You may up there, but this is just losing a bit of momentum. So I wouldn't be surprised if price does drop below there. So channel down. One attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher, new low, or second leg down. So my guess is we're going to break below this level here. Trouble is, when we do that, we're out of this uptrend. Now, would I want to take a long there? It's too early in my opinion. Bigger the channel up, the bigger the overshoot. So I'm thinking small. There's always a possibility it could be larger. So I'm just sitting and waiting. Now, there is a bit of a higher low there. I don't know whether I consider... I've seen Max saying you can't say it's a higher low because we've got a little micro up there with a break. It's very tempting, that. Trouble is, with all this here and the possible second leg down, after this we struggle to get up. So for me, it's likely to pull back. It's not a strong place to get into a trade here, so I'm going to leave this even if it finishes bullish, because my gut feeling, it may trigger it and come down, because we've had a channel down there, one attempt to go higher, second attempt to go higher. This for me feels like it's losing momentum, and we've obviously broken above new highs, so it's hard to know where it may go. We're not necessarily bouncing off support or resistance or anything, because we've not been up here before. So my gut feeling is here. It may come down, but it is still working up that line. So who knows? Who knows? Let me just make this line a bit thicker. It may work. We may have two legs down, two legs up, but because it's gone sideways overall here, I'm sitting tight. Because if this is a range, going long, three-quarters of the way up to the top is too risky. So for me, I'm just doing nothing now. It may work, but for me, I'm just sitting tight. So straight away, if I went long there, I'd be having alarm bells. I'm not saying it won't go, but we could have two legs up. But because it's sideways, it just makes these trades, it just makes these positions a bit more trappy. So I'm thinking leg down, two attempts to go higher, leg down. You may even argue this is a triple test to go short. I wouldn't go short here at the moment. I certainly wouldn't go long, but I wouldn't go short either because the overall is up. So that would be generally counter trend trade. It doesn't mean, you say counter trend trade and this could drop like a stone, but generally when prices are going up, I just avoid. But when it triggers you like that by one tick and starts working back straight away, 8 times out of 10, this is going to get stopped out, maybe even more, I think. Especially when it's going sideways. Yeah. So someone said skip in, someone said didn't skip, two sideways. That's the right answer, and that's the right answer, didn't skip. Depends, if you take it on the sim and you're learning, you've got to kind of take anything. I mean, we could get it could come below and bounce here, in which case it's still working higher. Sometimes the fact that is like it is on the EMA may hold. Sometimes it'll just take some time to work, but oh, lad. Trader buddy of mine's taken that. I think that's a risk. I mean, you could argue it's a failure. Trouble is, when it is sideways, you just never quite know what it's going to do. That does throw a spanner in the works. Yeah, it's stacking up now. Makes it more dangerous. Sometimes, though, it will just work. I don't think that, from a bullish bar, is in the worst position in the world. It is sideways, but sometimes, if it's in the right place around that EMA, it will work. But I wouldn't want to get into a trade here. It's more sideways. It may shoot up or it may rip down. Yeah, it is too sideways, isn't it? Sometimes, if it's a strong enough... I mean, a bar up here, you wouldn't expect to work, but when it's close and tight on that EMA, I've always said I like taking longs when the bottom of the bar is hugging the top and vice versa. But in this instance, you just never know. A quick flush down and it will take that out and take that out. But it may hold. Now we're at this line here. It does seem to be playing this line, so it may just creep up. So, in fact, I can move this up a tiny fraction. Yeah, I can't see it not hitting that for me. The trouble is with taking that trade, it's too right in the middle of the chop, and the market's got a really funny way of just every time you get a weak position, it just eats them up. It's not going to come down there and at least attack this. Trouble is, would you have a second entry long? I wouldn't, because we got a tiny break then. Yeah, that's a shame. So you can see that came down with a little bit of speed, didn't it? It shot down about 1.5 pretty quickly because it's eaten a few stops there. So right to that measured move. Still wouldn't take a trade here because although it's a break, it's very small. I'd expect a little bit more than this to push straight up. Now, sometimes if we get a small break and it pushes up, it's because it wasn't a break. But there's no way I can adjust that chart any better than it looks. It looks great. Perfect touch. There's a bunch, perfect touch. Same again. So for me, I don't know, after a correction it may work, but I'd expect a little bit more than just that. And then a straightforward push up. It looks like a channel, so I can't see that there's anything like that. There may be, or we just may have a slightly bigger break, as I kind of did it earlier. Could be something more like that. In which case it comes down a bit lower. So It's hard to know at the moment, but I am getting much better at knowing, not necessarily knowing where it's going, but knowing when to stay out. Okay, so it's finding some support here. So it's quite a big push up off there. I'm still not ready to take a trade here at the moment. It's definitely a break, but it's not the biggest break in the world, and that's what concerns me. Okay, so we are what looks like finding a bit of support here. Trouble is, my experience of these trade channels, the bigger the channel, the bigger the break. It doesn't always work that way, but for the most, these small channels, small break, new high. The market wait for the Donald. Trouble is, it's stacking up a bit now, but what I do like is right at that measured move, it's clearly finding a little bit of support. It doesn't mean I can just jump in, but sooner or later, I think if we get maybe a bit of a triple test here, it may start to worm its way higher. It's hard to say at the moment. And the simple thing is, if you're not sure, just to stay out. Yeah, see, Thomas Wade has just done the same as me, looking for that 2 legs. So, with 2 legs like that, then I think there's a reason there for traders, because we know market moves in legs, don't we? There's a reason there for traders to start looking for entries. If you look on Thomas Wade's, he's got quite a bullish bar. In fact, it's that bar there. Now, I doubt he would have taken that. It didn't trigger anyway, so but it is starting to go a little bit sideways, which means it is starting to find a little support there. But you can clearly see there he's got exactly the same thing as me, 2 legs. We know the market likes to move in legs. It's super accurate. Why does this do this? It's super accurate with legs, but obviously you've got to find an entry. What I'd like to do is find something that drops below and instantly pushes up. So sometimes if you look on Bookmap, I haven't got it up today, sometimes Bookmap you'll see a bunch of orders down here. So I haven't actually opened it today, so let's have a look. Let me just switch the sound off. Actually not as much as I expected. This is today's, isn't it? Yeah, there's not much in the way of buy orders. Oh yeah, there is. Sell a lie. You can see those buy orders there. So they're round about 27.30. So they're round about the 29, which is just under this line here. So more of them are there. I wish they'd condense these prices a bit. So there's 30. That's where we are now. So there are buy orders here, which is between 17 and 30. It's more like the 28.5-ish. So 28.5-ish, which is around about there. Okay, so 2 legs down. If you have a quick drop below, trouble is not many. I tend to like it drop below if they've trapped a few bull bars there, but on my chart, that's the only bull bar I can really see. It hasn't been triggered, but I'd still like it to just come down. I can't see any liquidity on here around that level, but I'd still like to have a little bit of a drop and then maybe pick up some orders and finish bullish, because then it might start to work. Or even if you don't like that, maybe pick up the higher low. I don't think this is a trend down. It's too early. That channel up is too neat. There's always a possibility it could be. Sometimes your price just reverses. It doesn't often happen. And usually if it does reverse, it means you've probably adjusted your channel slightly wrong. But we start there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars fitting perfectly. Those bars are as good as, and there as well. And it's fitting nice at the top. There may be a small overshoot, I mentioned that earlier, but it's negligible. That could give it a bit of correction, or it could send it south. It's hard to say. But I don't think it's much, actually. And as it's going sideways, there's not a load of sellers jumping on this. This is more like people are staying out at the moment, waiting for something. So I think if we drop, hit these buyers at this level, it may have a bit of a push. But there is a possibility it could come down. So the trouble is, so much of these trading days just a little bit uncertain. Thomas Wade calls them areas of development, which it kind of is. It's kind of figuring out what it wants to do. So we have had a drop below there. I prefer it to go a little bit further, but it may find support, it may work up, but at the moment, all I can see is that in front of me. Now, at some point, there's going to be a bar that develops, which is going to move up, or it's going to come down. And usually, the strongest looking positional bar I can see there, usually then takes us up. But at the moment, it's just sitting and waiting and putting your feet up kind of time. So yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Some days, I always find these when I first learned to trade as a currency trader, we were looking for trending days. Now this is a good example after these 2 pushes as a trending day, but from a Pat's point of view, sometimes they can be the hardest days because you're kind of waiting for it to get back here, and there's no real setup. Same again here. Now. There may actually be a bit of an overshoot there, which may have caused this break. Sometimes, if it's pulling away from the top, well, that'll mean there's a break or an overshoot. Sometimes it'll just break. But on my left chart there, which looks just as good, there's more of a clear overshoot. So that might be why it's sending price down or slightly sideways. Stop orders. See, the trouble is, stop orders... It's hard to get sort of tunnel vision and thinking everyone looks at the same chart. Now, if I look at a different chart, if I look at, for instance, a 5-minute chart, it might look completely different. Now, what I will say on the 5-minute chart, I can't see any liquidity there. So let's go on to the 2-minute chart. Are we on 2 minutes yet? Am I on 2 minutes? Oh my God, I can't believe how quick this is working. This is the new PC. It usually takes a minute or two. Let's have a look at 15. Wow, I tell you what, this new computer, I didn't realise how quick, but I can't see any obvious pullbacks where there may be liquidity. I can't believe how quick that's working. 1 minute, boom, I'm there. You're talking about bookmap, yeah. No, I'm just on about looking for liquidity here. It's hard to say. I can't believe how quick I'm getting this. Let's go back to the 2000 tick chart. What's this? Boom. I'm already there. I can't believe how quick this data's jumping. This has got to be down to the new computer. Usually it takes maybe 10, 15 seconds. Strange time frame. Yeah, it is. Yeah. See, it does look like we're coming down a bit. So bookmap was showing that there was orders, I think about 28.5. They're actually disappearing now. Are we there? Not quite. Yeah, so there's some around about the 28.5, which is where that line I put there. But the thing is, all those orders that were up there are kind of being yanked. Tell a lie. Sorry, no, they were taken when it pushed up. My mistake. There's a few orders down here. Is it enough to trigger a move up? So 28, 27-ish around this area. So okay, excuse me just a sec. Okay, so that may have picked up some of those orders. So I wanted something to drop and give us a bullish sign. Now that is one, but at the moment, I'd rather wait for it to push above the EMA and give us a strong signal this is going up. Doesn't look like a channel to me, a down channel, because if I was looking at a down channel, I'd be looking at something like that. That just doesn't look right to me. It's more of a drop with a break and a drop, so it doesn't look like a down channel. Having said that, I still wouldn't want to think about going long here. I don't think it's the worst trade in the world. It may have picked off any liquidity, but that did. And it may be trapping that short bar. There's a few shorts there that may get trapped, and it may push up, but until it does push up above that EMA, I can't trust it, because you never know whether this thing's just going to keep funneling down. Look, that's not what you want to see. That to me is not buyers coming in there. It's just unclear. Stops or buyers? I believe they're not stops. I believe that I asked this question to someone, and I believe they're pending orders. They're buy. Yeah, I asked that question a while ago, and someone said to me, "No, they're not. They're not stops." I didn't quite understand that. Surely, if it's a stop and you sell and it shows as a buy order. I'm not sure. I'll have to find that out. But yeah, it's a tough one. But while they're there, I wouldn't want to go long there, because it may come down and pick these up. If there's quite a large amount of them, chances are they will. Times before I'd have gone long, but look at that. If you'd have gone long and it triggered you and coming down, you wouldn't hold much out, would you? So you'd be thinking for sure that was going to get stopped out. And I'm pretty sure it will. So how far's this thing got to come down before we decide that now is the time to buy? Maybe it won't. So he's got a nice fitting channel. And he's got a little down channel as well. So you may argue there's an overshoot, but I'm not convinced there is. So let's look at Thomas Wade's at the moment. Still correcting, yeah, it is. Just there's nothing you can do here, really. I still like to think it's going to push up, but there's not really much you can do. So yeah, there's not much you can do, really. The market moves slowly down from the top, and it's profit taking, yeah. Excuse me just a second. Okay, someone's put that. Could be a measured move from there. In which case, that's interesting, that is. The trouble is, it's still coming down. Another day of feds. Yeah, there is something later, isn't there? Where's my thing gone? I thought there was something later, isn't there? Oh, it's done, I'm assuming. Oh, that's why it's disappeared. Oh no, tell a lie, it's coming now, isn't it? Fed speaking now. Okay, so quite a bullish bar right at the measured move. The trouble is it's stacked up. It may be the bar that takes us up. It may not. But at the moment it's stacked up side by side. I do like the fact that we've hit that perfect measured move and moved up with a reasonably bullish bar, but it's still not enough to get me in really. We'd have to sort of get above that EMA, and there is, from a Pat's point of view, likely going to be some stops up here, possibly up here and here, which may make things easier, but doesn't look like a channel to me. That it looks like two separate moves, but from this break, 2 legs down, so I think that would probably push up. I was tempted to take it, but because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 or 5 stacked up, I think it's probably better off to wait. I mean, it has moved up quite strongly there, but I'd still have to wait for a higher low, unfortunately. That looks quite a strong move, that does. So that's a good start. Starting to flick around now. There is some Fed news, I think, isn't there? That's coming down quite strong. Okay, channel up with the correction. Does look like it's working up. I think it probably will. Just no entry, unfortunately. Push up, go a little bit sideways, push up. No, nothing yet today, bud. There's nothing I can see, put it that way. This is kind of where I started around 1:30. Nothing up there. There was 2 legs back there, but nothing really. The next time we got back to the EMA stroke key entry point, nothing there. There was nothing there either, really. It just didn't really go anywhere, and then we had that drop. So there's nothing I can see really that tempted me to get in. I kind of had a fair idea where it was going, but unfortunately, there's just nothing you can do. Does look like we're pushing up, but that's the downside with Pats. A lot of traders may think, wait for a pullback, 2 legs, let's just jump in down here and ride it back up. The one trader I used to watch, and he's not around anymore that I'm aware of, is the Gorilla guy. He'd look for these moves up with a correction very similar to penguin style trading. In fact, I'd be shocked if there's not. In fact, there's not penguin traders in here. Where's my... Let's have a look. Okay, there we go. Let me just... So, that was just recently taken. That's it, move up. 2 legs down. In long there. That's what I mean, 2 legs. I'll be surprised if there isn't traders in there. It's pushed above that EMA. Stops down here. Profit before the top. He's already out. So that did look like 2 legs back. A typical... that I would say... I was going to say it looks like the 2000 tick chart, but it's not. There's too much information. So it's the 500 by the looks of things. So 2 legs down, move up in there, stop down here, stops kind of below one of these here somewhere, and then straight up, which is doing. He's out before the tops. He'd be out now, I think. So it did look like it did look like a typical. Sorry. It did look like a typical 2 legs down and a move up penguin style trade. So that worked. From a penguin point of view, it was ideal, really. Push up above the EMA, jump in somewhere here, put your stop down here before the tops. That Nvidia popping more on big news. Did that just rocket up? It just looked bigger on here. So it did what I expected. Channel up, 2 legs down, and when unfortunately there was just no setups for us. It's typical, isn't it? Nothing you can do about that, unfortunately. Okay, new high. So that's played out. So let's see where this goes. Now we're into new territory again. Okay, I think I'm done for the day, actually. How long have I been streaming for? I'm streaming for 2 hours and 40, traded for an hour before, so through 40. So it's a slow day today. There's not much, really. We had that little kind of drop overnight, a retest, and then a slow grind up. Close laptop, rest my eyes, yeah, 2 legs back. Kind of had a fair idea where it was going. Unfortunately, it was just a bit congested and no way in, but what can you do? So I'm going to leave you guys to it. So best of luck if you're carrying on. I'll be back tomorrow. So no trades today for me. That's fine. I'm not bothered with that. Have a great day. Have a good evening. Stay safe and we'll catch up tomorrow. Bye for now.